Hey guys, it's me again. My brother this time is reading Peter Pan and Captain Hook, and I'm a big fan of that show.
Peter Pan and Captain Hook. It was the best time of the day. The lamps were lightened in the bedroom. Wendy sat by the fire. "Tell us a story, Wendy," said her brother. John. "A pirate story with Indians in it," cried Michael. So Wendy told her brothers a story. It had pirates and Indians in it, but it began with Peter Pan. Peter Pan was a boy. He was very brave. He could crow like a rooster. Best of all, he could fly. He could fly high. He could fly low. He could race with the clouds and chase the stars. He could slide down a rainbow. Peter's best friend was the tiny fairy Tinkerbell. Tink could fly too. She never talked, but she would stand on Peter's hand. Tiny lights flashed, and she made tinkling sounds. Peter always understood her. Peter and Tink lived in a Neverland. It's a magic place. Indians camped in the woods, were a pirate ship in the bay near Skull Rock, and there was Hangman's Tree. Peter's home was a secret cave under Hangman's Tree. He lived in a cave with his friends. These friends were the Lost Boys. They had no mothers or fathers, but they did have Peter and Tink, and a safe secret cave. One day, Peter and Tink went out flying. The Lost Boys could not fly. They tried to think of something else to do, something that would be fun. "I know," said one. "Let's go fight the Indians." "We can creep up on them," said another. "We'll catch them," cried a third. They began creeping through the woods. They were going toward an Indian camp. "Shh," said one of the boys. "An Indian may be hiding behind every tree." There was not an Indian behind every tree. There was an Indian inside of every tree. The Indians leapt out and caught the Lost Boys. "Help, Peter!" shouted the boys. "Tinkerbell, save us!" Peter and Tinkerbell did not hear the boys. Peter and Tink were on Skull Rock. "Look," said Peter. He pointed across the water. Tink looked and saw a boat. In it, she saw Peter's enemy, the terrible pirate Captain Hook. She also saw Hook's mate, Mr. Smee, and saw Tiger Lily, the beautiful Indian princess. Tiger Lily was tied with thick ropes. The poor girl was Captain Hook's prisoner. Suddenly there was a loud tick-tock, tick-tock. It came from the crocodile, swimming near the boat. Captain Hook jumped off of the boat. He climbed up onto a rock. "That crocodile follows me everywhere," he cried. "He wants to eat me." "Luckily for you, he swallowed that clock," said Smee. "The tick-tock always tells you when he's near." Smee lifted Tiger Lily onto Skull Rock. "Now, tell me where that Peter Pan lives," said Hook, "or you will never leave Skull Island." "You codfish," shouted Peter, flying down. He pulled Smee's cap over his eyes. Then he flew over to Captain Hook and pushed him right in the water. Peter untied Tiger Lily and carried her up away from Skull Rock. Peter flew with Tiger Lily to the Indian camp. The Lost Boys were there, where they were still tied up. Tiger Lily's father was at camp too. He was the great chief with many feathers in his headdress. "You saved Tiger Lily," he said. "Because of that, we will let your friends go. We have a feast and sing and dance." But where was Tinkerbell? Tink stayed at Skull Rock. She was watching Captain Hook swim away from the tick-tocking crocodile. Captain Hook leaped from the water. He was shaking with fear. Tinkerbell laughed and laughed. Suddenly, Mr. Smee popped his cap over Tink. She stopped laughing. "Cheer up, Captain," said Smee. We have lost Tiger Lily, but we have someone better. We have Peter Pan's best friend, Tinkerbell." Peter Pan and the Lost Boys were leaving the Indian camp. It was very late. The deep forest was dark, and they needed Tinkerbell's flashing lights to show them the way. "Tink must be at home," said Peter. They came to Hangman's Tree. They stepped on a mushroom beside the path. They pressed a keyhole near a low branch. The door to the secret cave opened. No jingling, ringing sound greeted them. No fairy light flashed out to cheer them. The cave was empty. What happened to Tinkerbell? Cried Peter Pan. Michael pulled at Wendy's hand. What did happen to Tinkerbell? He asked. What did Captain Hook do with her? He took her to their pirate ship, said Wendy. What then? Asked John. Captain Hook and Mr. Smee plotted a terrible plot. They wanted to make Peter Pan come to the pirate ship and save Tinkerbell. Then they would capture Peter Pan. The pirates locked Tinkerbell in a lantern outside the ship's cabin, where she stayed tinkling and shining, calling for help. But now Peter Pan was looking for Tinkerbell. He flew here and there across Neverland. He finally saw a fairy light on a pirate ship. Quickly, Peter flew to Hangman's Tree. Captain Hook has Tinkerbell, he told the Lost Boys. We have to save her. Quietly, the boys swam from shore to the pirate ship. Quietly, they climbed up the rope and onto the deck. Peter Pan flew over the top of the mast. Hook, you're a codfish, he crowed. The pirates rushed out onto the deck. It's Pan, shouted Hook. Fire the cannon, Mr. Smee. Smee tried to fire the cannon, but one of the boys ran off with his cannonball. Another boy chased Smee around the deck with a shiny sword. Peter Pan flew down from the mast. He cut a feather off Captain Hook's hat. The frightened pirate fell into the sea, but no one was waiting in the water. The tick-tocking crocodile was waiting. Captain Hook swam for his life. He swam and swam and he swam and he swam. For all he knew, he was swimming still. Peter Pan and the Lost Boys let Tinkerbell out of the lantern. Then they hurried to their secret cave under Hangman's Tree. What happened then? Asked Michael. Peter Pan and Tinkerbell and the Lost Boys went to sleep, said Wendy. And that's where you are going. He tucked her brothers into bed. Is there really a Peter Pan? Asked John. Will we ever see him? Perhaps someday, said Wendy. Later that night, a soft tinkling sound woke Wendy. She saw a flickering light and then a boy's shadow flew past the window. Wendy smiled. She had finally seen Peter Pan. At least she had seen his shadow. And she had heard Tinkerbell's tinkling sound. Wendy's eyes closed again. She was fast asleep. That was Peter Pan and Captain Hook.